Hay or straw will keep them comfy and out of the elements. They tend to be silent birds except when they're chicks or when the male is looking for a mate. Rheas have an interesting parenting style. The male develops a harem, and several hens will lay their eggs into the nest he built on the ground. The female's work is then done, and the male takes care of incubating and raising the young. Hermes says when adults, the birds are processed for their meat.
It's all dark meat. It's all leg and thigh meat. It's very dark, much darker than that which we're used to in a chicken. It would have the appearance of typical beef. However, because they're birds, their physiology is different in that they don't marble their meat with fat. So if you cut all the fat off the outside, it is basically all lean.
Learn more about Rheas and how to raise them at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the Country Life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com.
Today's Daily Encouragement by William the Encourager, sponsored by Ted Russell Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty on Kingston Tire.
Amen, amen. It's Friday already. Praise ye the Lord. Remember, we've been having a great time all week just talking about the goodness of God and what he can do in our lives. So today we're going to be reading out of Hebrews chapter 2 verse 13, which says, "And again, I will put my trust in him. And again, behold, I and the children which God has given me." Mothers, fathers, for those children that he's given you, everything that you need to raise them, to grow up to be godly people, it's in you, and you can give it to them. Remember, the Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from the path. So everything that you need is in you, and you need to tell your children that everything they need is in him. Before my mother passed, she told me so many things that I did not know. And I keep them to this day because I know that in him is my strength. And the name of this poem that I'm going to read right now, I wrote after my mom passed. It's called In Him. And it says, "I find my joy in the Lord of my salvation, where no fear can hide its distractions or its temptations. My strength is made known when it's him that I seek. He gives grace to the humble and mercy to the meek. In him I find peace that surpasses all comprehension, peace that lifts the load of all my worldly tensions. In him I find love, the depth of which only one man has shown, the results of a love that all humanity could have known. In him I find wisdom that is given when I ask how to seek his vision, purpose, and direction for my life's task. In him I find faith to believe in that which I cannot see. In him I have faith to call things that are not to come forth as though they be. In him I find deliverance from things that kept me bound. He gave me strength when my life in him was found. In him I find light that causes the darkness to flee and set ablaze a flame that burns brightly within me. In him I find all that I was meant to be, because in him I am unchained, unshackled, and I am set free. My brothers and sisters, everything that you need is in him. Mercy, joy, peace, love, understanding, righteousness, holiness, trustworthiness, healing, health, strength, everything is found in him. Seek ye first. Don't go looking elsewhere for the answer, because he is the answer. He is the way, the truth, in the life. David said, thy word is a light, is a lamp unto my feet, a light unto my path. So in him, we walk out of darkness and we walk in the right way. In him, we find peace in the midst of the storm. In him, we find a love, an agape love that surpasses all understanding. In him, we find our purpose, our passion, and our love. In him is found the mercy, the grace that we need. In him, his Holy Spirit is found to give us strength to make it through the day. So remember, my brothers and sisters, there's a way out of your mess, and it's JESUS.
Where can you buy a brand new Nissan with a lifetime warranty? Kingston Pike. Hey, folks, Gerald Anderson with Ted Russell Nissan. You heard it right. Every new Ted Russell Nissan comes with a lifetime warranty, and that's a long, long time. Ted Russell Nissan on Kingston Pike.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Rome, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask Your Neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
All right, my friends and neighbors, good morning. Welcome to Ask Your Neighbor on WYSH. I hope you're having a fantastical day. If you would like to participate in today's program, it is very simple and easy. You just pick up the phone and call, and you can ask whatever you want to ask. You can state whatever you want to state. You can maybe share something that make somebody else's day better. Whatever you want to do, you just call up and do it. In the meantime, though, I've got somebody sent me this yesterday, and at first I thought, this is not true. But then I dug a little bit and found out, okay, it is. So I'm going to read this to you, and then I'll just let you guys, if you would like to comment on it, you can comment on it. Okay? This was put out by the, make sure, Anderson Dems, the Anderson County Democrat Party. It says the Anderson Dems is what it's called. All right? It's titled, No on ICE, Norris Community. Norris chooses community over fear. It says, Monday night in Norris, Tennessee, a resolution supporting ICE didn't just die quietly. It was stopped because people paid attention and showed up. The resolution would have opened the door to allow local law enforcement, which is already stretched thin, to start carrying out federal immigration enforcement right here in our own backyard. This moved fast. 1 minute, council members realized it was on the agenda. The next, the public found out, and Monday evening, the Norris Community Center was packed. Was anybody there? If anybody out there was there, I don't care where you stand on the issue, I'd just like to hear from you. The mayor opened the meeting by asking to remove the resolution from the agenda. He pointed out what everyone could see. The room was full of new faces. And something like this doesn't just slip into a council agenda. If the police department wants to pursue it the right way as a public workshop with honest-to-God community input. Other council members backed that up. They voted unanimously to remove the resolution that would support ICE from the agenda and stress if it ever comes back, it'll have to go through the front door. Again, I don't know what that means. Later, during public comment, someone asked the mayor where he stood. He didn't hedge. He said he did not support it, didn't request a workshop, and hadn't heard from anyone who was for it. Then the mayor turned to the crowd and said, raise your hand if you want this resolution. Not a single hand went up. And that was that. The council moved on to its normal agenda: roads, sidewalks, gazebos, the kind of things, kind of meetings you forget ever happened. So there you go. I never thought in a zillion years that anyone in East Tennessee would begrudge law enforcement enforcing law. And it is against the law to be here illegally. So does that mean now anybody that's here in the sound of my voice that's illegal can go hang out in Norris? And the council, the mayor, and evidently every single person, according to this, that was there in that community center welcomes them? Doesn't want the police to manage the, I don't know. So where do you stand? And I don't know, I'll tell you this too. Why did they need a resolution for law enforcement to just be law enforcement? It sounds to me like probably law enforcement was already, again, this is just my supposition, law enforcement was probably already doing this, and so somebody put this resolution in there to accentuate it, to bring it to light, to roust about the folks that are against it. Or maybe not. Maybe they just felt like they needed a reassurance to enforce the law when it comes to illegal aliens sneaking into Norris. I don't know. But there you go. It's, when I heard the mayor of Nashville saying the things that he said about the removal of illegal aliens, it didn't really surprise me at all. Nashville is an extremely liberal city, but, Shelby County and Davidson County are the only two blue counties in the state of Tennessee, period. The state is overwhelmingly conservative, 70-some% overall. And in some places, depending on where you go, some places it's way more than that. Anderson County, I think the president won here by 73 or 77%. I can't remember. It was a substantial victory. So I don't know, what does this do to Norris? Honestly, if you're out there and you're really undocumented, illegal, does that make it quote unquote sanctuary city status? If you literally bring it to the public to say our police force is asking for this resolution to support ICE, and we say no. So does that mean you don't support ICE? So you don't want, what happens if they come into the community and, like we've seen all over the country, commit a crime? What do you do? A heinous crime. What do you do? I understand this. I said this to somebody the other day. I said, somebody asked me, do I believe God sees borders, between the United States and other countries? And I said, well, I don't know if he sees borders or not. I don't think so. But I know he sees the faith and the foundation this country was built on. We were built on Judeo-Christian foundation, which is why it doesn't matter where the people are. That's why he blesses his people, because of that. But we're a country and a rule of law. And I know not all the people that are sneaking in to do wrong. I know there are good people. Absolutely. Guarantee it. Still, they're breaking the law. Still wrong what they do. You would go to jail if you did this, snuck into Mexico. You'd be in a prison. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to start out telling a lie, breaking the law, and expect it to get better from there. Or I mean, that stuff compounds. But along with that, we've got some terrible people that snuck in here. I know you guys are saying, oh, how do you know that, Ron? How do you know that, Ron? Let's go back to the 80s. Anybody out there ever seen the movie Scarface? Raise your hand. Okay. You know how those refugees got here? Fidel Castro emptied his prison of his worst felons. Now, why would somebody do that? Well, they don't have to feed them, pay for them, house them. We do. That's how, quote-unquote, Tony Montana got here. So you don't think that to do it? It's already happened. It's already been done. We've seen it done. The president said it. Venezuela, they were emptying the insane asylums. So if you don't think there are bad people here, just look in the news at some of the problems that have been created by the illegals that have snuck in. But now, Norris, a community that was built and forged by TVA to industrialize the South, to bring electricity and to modernize the South, Norris has come out and said, we're not so sure we want to support ICE. We're not sure. It's like, no. So, I guess if you're illegal, you might want to, get off 75 and head up over to Norris, and maybe they'll let you camp out there in the Commons. Good morning. Welcome to Ask Your Neighbor this morning.
Mr. Meredith.
Hey, Mr. Queener. How are you, buddy?
Doing pretty good. I got your message last night. Did you see my response?
I did, that you said not something that you all would vote on? Yeah.
I don't think it would be even something that would even come to us, because we really don't tell the police. I mean, we don't tell the police department, what to do. They've got things they've got to do, and that's enforce the laws. So I would expect them to enforce the laws. So.
And you know what? I don't know why they felt the need to put a resolution in there. I felt like somebody put that in there to illuminate the fact that maybe the Norris police officers were enforcing the law. And, I don't know why you would put a resolution to say we're going to, enforce the law. So
well, that's right. That's why we have the police departments to enforce the law for the safety of our citizens. So, that's what I would be expecting them to do, would be to do their job, and I would support them in whatever they do. So that's how I feel about it anyway.
I don't think, again, I think that I don't think that many people feel the way that this article portrays the folks of Norris as feeling. They might all think it's okay that we have open borders. I don't think so, though. And I know here in Clinton and Rocky Top, and you get up in Bryceville, and even in Oak Ridge. I mean, I know people are for the rule of law and don't necessarily, everybody don't think we ought to just have open borders where people without any vetting can just walk in.
That's how I look at it anyway.
I get it, brother.
That's how I look at it. I don't, that's, when you said that to me, it's the first I had heard of that. I'd not heard anything about that.
Well, a law enforcement officer, a wife of a law enforcement officer is who forwarded it to me, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I never thought I'd see the day that we would be taking that side in Anderson County, ever, anywhere. But there you go. It's a new world. It's a brand new world, baby.
Yep. You got that right about being a brand new world. It is a brand new world.
Well, everything's crazy. I feel like everything's upside down. I just, for the life of me, and I try to tolerate and deal with people and be, fair about everything as I can. But I just, for the life of me, don't understand people that argue that someone who sneaks in here, someone who lies to get in here, then gets in trouble, that have that they deserve the same rights as an American citizen. It's American citizenship that allows us the rights that we have, not sneaking in. But if you get here, you come in normal and you go through the process, you're naturalized, you become a citizen, then you get those rights. But until then, you don't. I don't think. But again, that's just me.
And that's what I've said to you before on the air right here.
Yes.
If you go through the right process, then you should be afforded those rights just like we're afforded those rights.
Yes, sir.
If you come in here illegally, then I don't think you have any rights.
No.
The only thing that I would say was send you back to where you're from. Don't send you back to another country.
I agree.
Send you back to where you're from. I mean, that's what I think ought to happen. But
I think we ought to treat everybody humane. I think we ought, we don't need to be jerks about it. We need to treat them humanely, but we need to deport them, send them back, and let them come through the right way.
Yep. I'm with you 100% on that. That's just, do it. If we're gonna do it, let's do it the right way. And I understand that's a very hard process to go through. I don't know. I've never really just sat down and researched it or tried to see how hard it was. Everybody says it's hard. And
yes.
Have to do a lot of things, and it shouldn't be an easy process. Probably should take a little while to do it, but. And I also would say there's some jobs those people do that I don't think a regular American people would do in a heartbeat. I mean, I think some of those people are needed, but they need to be needed for the right way and in the country the right way.
And we have tons of mechanisms for that. I mean, we've got work visas. We've got they've got like I don't want to say orchard picking or whatever, but they've got the different types of visas set out that are much easier than qualifying for citizenship, to come in, work with a green card, and then your green card expires and you go back or you reapply. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for people that want to come over here and work, but maybe they don't want to go through all the process to become an American citizen. I mean, there's opportunities. And if folks are aggravated that maybe it takes a long time to do it, then that should be a thing that Congress addresses and changes the law to make it, if they want to make it easier or make it, less cumbersome, that's on Congress. But right now, the law is the law, and it needs to be enforced as it is.
I think that, and I think you bring up another really good, valid point, is it's on Congress, and Congress should actually do their job and maybe sit down and once again, I just cussed on the radio. I'm sorry, I said sit down and talk. I was going to say sit down and talk with each other. I'm not going to do that, but they need to do their job up there and try to fix the situation one way or the other, and let's have some. They can say, well, this is the way it is today. It's fine. But the situation needs to be, there needs to be some conversation about it. And there needs to be some things done, whether they leave it the same, whether they change some things or whatever they do. It's time for them to actually do their job. But I'm sorry, I cussed again, said do their job, but they're not going to do their job. And I think we all know that.
I think you're right. Absolutely right. Who did you tell me you're bringing from EMS with you Monday?
EMS is cut. No, I'm not bringing nobody from EMS.
Oh.
EMA, I'm bringing Bryce Kittle. I want to just talk about some stuff they done with their radio system. I'm going to have him come up with me for just a little while Monday. He'll be there with me for just a little while. He's also on the fair board with me. We'll talk a little bit about the fair.
Good.
We'll do a little conversating about the fair, and then we'll do a little conversating about what we're conversating about now, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to talk about.
Hey, I told somebody the other day, talking about protesting in L.A. I said, I've not seen very much protesting in L.A.
I haven't either.
Yeah, they're protesting every night. Have you not watched it? I said, Well, no, I watched them throw little battery-powered motorcycles over bridges at police cars and stuff like that. That's not protesting. To me, that's more like a riot.
Yeah, it is a riot.
When you're throwing rocks and bricks and stuff through windows and vandalizing, you're rioting. That's not protesting. Protesting, standing out, holding a sign up and saying, vote for whatever, or vote for this, or don't support that. That's not for doing damage. I don't think it is anyway. Maybe I need to be schooled on what protesting's all about.
Did you see the post? I was watching Fox last night, and they had a police chief from Florida on, and
I think I've seen it.
Yeah, where he says if you spit on us or if you do this, whatever, we'll arrest you. If you throw a brick, if you point a gun, you will be notifying your next kin where to get your remains because we will kill you graveyard dead.
I seen that. I seen that where he made that comment. Some of those sheriffs down in Florida, it's funny to listen to some of their comments sometimes when they have news conferences, because they talk about they do when they arrest somebody. It's a big deal down there. And it is a big deal. I understand about if somebody's done something you want to capture and let your community know, but man, they have full-size photographs made of them and everything and bring it to and especially you let a law enforcement officer with one particular sheriff, and I can't think of his name down there, you let a law enforcement officer go to the right or to the left where he shouldn't go, and man, he will crucify him. He crucifies his own people sometimes. So it's funny to watch. But I did see that one sheriff make that comment.
I wish that if more police chiefs held that opinion, not necessarily, I think less times they'd have to use it. You know what I mean? If more people worried that they were going to get in big time trouble for acting up at these protests, I think a lot of it would calm down. But they, I don't recall anybody getting arrested or there's not been a big news story about people. You remember when back, 2020, all the big riots and stuff, I don't recall. The only one I recall getting in trouble, and there was that young kid that shot the guy that was, chasing him or whatever ended up being. But I don't remember any news about the protesters or anybody getting in trouble or for burning down the city. They were stealing cell phones and all this here the other night, and the guy that had the business that I don't understand what busting into my store and stealing my stuff has to do with protesting. It doesn't. And if they prosecute them and publicize the prosecution, I think it would curb it a little bit.
That's my same sentiments. I agree. Protesting is, standing holding the sign or marching in a group, marching somewhere. I don't believe in, blocking down a street neither. I mean, if you want to coordinate it with whoever that you're going to protest today and, hey, can we do this and you help us do this and we're only going to do it for this span and we'll be done, and you coordinate everything, then that's fine. You can probably block the street. Just to go aside because you're going to go block the interstate or whatever and shut it down because you want to, I don't think that's. I think you stand on the side of the interstate. I don't even think you go to the interstate. Just to be honest with you, it's really dangerous. So it is, in my opinion, anyway.
Well, I remember when they were doing the Black Lives Matter thing and they were blocking the roads. There was a guy trying to get his daughter to the hospital, and they wouldn't let him go through. He about ran him over, and I told Tracy, I said, if that were me and I was in my truck, I promise we'd get to the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think there's a difference in. I think there's a difference in protesting and I'm gonna call it being right. I'm gonna call it and say they're rioting when they do it.
I agree.
I don't know what anybody else would call it. If there's another word and it's a better word that somebody's got for it, I'll say that word. But I just think when you're throwing bricks and rocks and you're throwing them off bridges and you're throwing those electric carts things off of bridges, and you're crashing through windshields, and you're vandalizing, and you're going in people's stores, that's not. I don't think that's not my definition of protesting. That's my definition of you're doing a riot. That's me anyway.
Well, I've got you on the phone. Let me ask you this. ICE, our ICE officers, a lot of times when they go in and they round these people up, they go in, they have a face covering, have a mask. And I was listening to them talk about it, and they said, they don't want people to know who they are to target them because, they would be targeted. But what do you think about that? The ICE officers wearing masks, because now they're making a big deal about that, saying they ought not wear masks when they go in to arrest these people. What do you think? You're former law enforcement.
We used to do. I say we, not me myself, but you do it on the law enforcement side. I don't know on the federal side. Let me just say the law enforcement. Sometimes on the law enforcement side, you do that because if you're on a raid or something, you've got an officer that's actually been working undercover, and you don't want his identity to be blown right at the time, so you do cover up. So I don't know if they're using it that way, or if they feel like, I don't know if they feel like they'll be targeted. But I would say this: if you feel like you're going to be targeted and you're going to be retaliated against, what about the other officers that are there with you that are participating in doing the same thing, but they're not covered?
Yeah,
so it has to be that they're trying to keep their identity concealed for a reason, for a court case or something like that. That has to be the reason. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Holman's
myself. I'm sure there's people out here that does, but there's just certain. You got to look at some safety things too when you're looking at that, I think.
Well, Tom Holman said, that he's had death threats. They've doxed him. What does it mean when they say they've doxed somebody? What does that mean? I
have no idea.
I wasn't sure about that. Somebody can call in and tell me. But he was talking about that they doxed him and they threatened his life. They've protested at his house. And he said that they're doing this because they will threaten the lives of the officers and everything else. And not all of those officers have the same credentials and protection as the head of ICE has. Your regular everyday ICE officers, they don't have 3 or 4 security guards that walk around with them like Mr. Holman does. So he said that's why they're doing it, because it's dangerous and life-threatening.
Well, being in law enforcement in general is dangerous. I've had my life threatened. I know all about that. So,
yeah.
And I didn't have any detail guarding me neither. I've never had nobody protest in my house. I have had concerns that some harm could be done to me or my family, and had to be real cautious for a long time on a case that I participated in many years ago. So I know I think that just comes with the job. So it does concern you, but I think it's part of the job. It's just part of the job. So,
yeah.
Just how I look at it.
That's one reason I'm not in it. I'll tell you.
Well,
dangerous.
I don't think it's right, but it just comes with the territory. I mean, when you're out dealing with and I don't know any other way to say this. When you're out dealing with mean people do mean things.
Yeah.
And that's why you're getting them off the street. And people are naive when they think there's not mean people around, because there are some very mean people around.
Yes, sir.
And you just have to. That's why I always said, people will cuss the law when they don't need them, but when they need them, they're so glad to see them.
Yeah.
So that's why you have law enforcement, and you want peace, and you want everything to be safe. You won't be able to go out in your backyard or your front yard, or sit out at night on your front porch, or go for a walk down the street, or go to the park, or do whatever, and feel safe and be able to do that. I personally don't want to live in one of these third world countries where I've got to worry about, if I get out, am somebody going to drive by and shoot at me or something like that, or if they're going to bomb us? And I don't know how people live like that. Personally, myself, I don't think I could live like that.
No, I agree with you 100%, 100%. And I appreciate law enforcement every day. I've talked about it before when was allergic to medication, and it wasn't necessarily law enforcement, it's first responders. But, man, I tell you, you don't know how much you appreciate them till you need them, you know? And then when you do need them, you're very happy to have them, especially if you're in a life-threatening situation or, you know, these men and women come in when everybody else runs out. I appreciate them. And if they feel it protects them and their family to wear a face covering, I say wear a face covering. I don't care.
It's a tough job, and as you know, as I've said before on the radio, it's a tough job, and we have some people that get in that job that make mistakes and do bad things.
Yes.
And those people should be dealt with. But because you buy a bushel of apples and there's one or two rotten apples in it, it doesn't make the other apples in the bushel all rotten. There's really some good people out here. Sometimes there's people that just don't do right, and you get them out and you take care of them the way you're supposed to take care of them. You get them out of the business. They don't need to be in the business.
That's it.
And but the 99.9% of the majority of people that's in law enforcement are in it for the right reasons. And there's a lot of people couldn't walk in a lot of their shoes and do a lot of their things that they do. I can guarantee you that.
I agree with you, pal.
So it's a tough job, but that's my stance on the Norris thing up there. I mean, I support what our police department needs to do, and 100%. And if they're supposed to do their job, and I, as city council, I expect them to do their job. And as far as I know, they are doing their job.
If Russell runs across or if Jim runs across any illegal aliens, you just send them on up to Norris. They're welcome.
I guess that's interesting. I'd like to. I don't know. Maybe I hadn't seen our agenda come out. I don't know if that had to be somebody within the city.
Yeah, to get it on the agenda.
I mean, that just didn't. Somebody within the cities had to put that resolution on the agenda.
And
I mean, that just didn't walk. Somebody from the street just didn't walk in and say, "Hey, let's put this resolution. I want this resolution to go on the agenda."
No, it had to be a council. I feel like it had to be a council member.
I don't think that can happen, but I would think that's come from somebody within city government in North. So somebody up there knows how it got on the agenda.
Well, I think they either did it. I'll just say what I think. I don't know for sure, and maybe I hope they call and correct me, but I believe that they probably knew that the police chief was okay with helping ICE. So in order to bring that out into the attentions, one of the council members put it on the agenda in order to I guess, get public opinion to shut it down or I don't think they put that. I don't think they need a resolution to do their job. So I think it was on there just to accentuate or to exaggerate the fact that they were doing that. Maybe they had an issue up there where they arrested somebody illegal. I don't know. But nobody ever gave you guys resolutions to go out and arrest the bad guys or go out and arrest people breaking the law.
No, I never have seen that. That's why I replied back to you.
Yeah.
That would have been something that our police chief is in conversation with our city manager about, and he might pass it on and say, "Hey, our police department's we've been assisting ICE when they come in, make some arrests." And just from what I understand from Russell, the only people around with the ICE around here is out of Memphis, and it's hard to get a hold of them. Now, I don't know that that's what I just said is true. I think that's what I heard Russell say, and I'm sure if he didn't say it, he'll correct me, and that's fine. I'll take the correction. I thought that's what he said on the radio once before.
Yep.
That you have to call out of Memphis for something like that. So I don't know that we actually have a field office per se. And if we had a field office, it would be in Knoxville. It would be over in Knoxville. It wouldn't be here anyway, I wouldn't think.
Well, I know that he said that, if they arrest somebody and they're illegal, they notify ICE. They turn them over to them or they notify them. So a lot of police departments aren't doing that right now. In fact, they're doing just the opposite. They're prohibiting ICE from, they're not helping them at all. They're hindering them when they arrest somebody or somebody gets in trouble that is undocumented. But he said they don't. If they got somebody that's a illegal alien, whatever they've done, after we've done what we need to do with them as far as law enforcement, they report them to ICE or turn them over to ICE.
I just couldn't see myself ever hindering another officer do his job if he needed help.
I know that.
I couldn't see me
Well,
I can't imagine. No, I couldn't do that.
Well, it's like you guys are a brotherhood, and I don't understand that either. I don't think this is a police thing. This is politics. This is, the political. I think the weight's being applied politically onto a lot of these police officers. I'm like you. I can't see somebody that puts their life on the line every single day, and they see a ICE guy that needs help, and they're like, "No, we're not going to help you because you're enforcing a law we don't like." I don't know. I would love to have a police officer that believes that they shouldn't help ICE call in and explain that to me.
Yeah, I just couldn't see if there was an officer here that needed some help and I was going, that I would turn a blind eye or turn my back or go the other way. I don't see David Queener doing that, okay?
I agree with you.
I see David Queener going and helping and maybe getting in trouble afterwards because I did help, because maybe I wasn't supposed to. But I would have to take the punishment.
Well, I'm with you.
Whatever that punishment be, if that's what they were going to do. But I don't know how they can punish you for doing your job.
I don't either.
And that's part of your job.
Yes.
I never did refuse to help not one officer around here. If they were in the city limits of Clinton, I was Johnny on the spot. And I just, man, people that, if there's somebody out here that's like that, I personally don't think they need to be a police officer.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I really and truthfully, and I'm being sincere, I don't want to argue with anybody. I would just like to hear somebody's perspective on that believes that as a police officer they shouldn't participate in helping ICE when requested or even not requested. I just like to hear what their reasoning is. That's all. I'd love to hear it straight from the horse's mouth if anybody's out there.
I'm with you on that, and like I said, I just think that's matters that's going on in the police department, and I don't think that's matters that should be laid on the city council's desk. It's you might find out about it that they're actually been helping, but I don't think that's a decision that city council ought to be telling them how to do their job. Most people on city councilmen that are city councilmen are not as lucky as me to have worked in the police department for many years. So they don't really know the ins and outs. They only know what they've heard and been told. So, let's leave the making police department decisions up to the experts and not the people that think they're experts.
I notice it seems like things are, it seems like morale and things are and we can talk about this a little bit Monday too. We are looking up at CPD here in Clinton.
Yeah, we had change in police chiefs, and I think it's a really good change. And Jim Campbell's a really good guy, and he's a hard worker, and he's worked his way up through the ranks there at the police department, and worked as a detective. Worked for me for a long time, and he done a good job. And I was in there with Rick Scarborough when Rick got him hired, and we brought him in. He was, I believe, Jim came from the sheriff's department and had previously been at Nashville PD.
Okay.
I think I'm telling you right.
Okay.
But Jim's a really good guy. He's raised his family up here in Harrison County, and I think both of his boys went to Harrison County High School and played football up at AC, and we're part of the community up there. And but like I said, Jim's a really good guy, and he'll do a fine job. And we got some good leadership, and they made some overall changes at the police department that are good changes, I think, within the change of structure a little bit, and done some things he wanted to do. And I think those changes will really be good. And I'm looking for, I look for good things. And I hold the police department at higher standards probably than I do anything down there because I work there.
Yes, sir.
So I know how good that, I know how good that place can be when they want it to be, and it's really a good place to work.
Well, I know he's opened a line of communication with the city and the city manager and stuff like that didn't exist before, and that only leads to good stuff when you know what I mean, when everybody's on the same page talking, that leads to good stuff.
Well, whether they want to believe it or not, and sometimes some people don't want to believe this. The police chief works for the police chief's just not the police chief. He does have a boss.
Yeah.
He does have a boss, okay? and his boss is the city manager.
Yes, sir.
And whether he likes it or not, that's his boss, and he does have to have you do have to have conversations with your boss every now and then, and you do have to, follow you can't just go out here and go rogue.
Yes.
And you have to do what some things what the city manager wants you to do and what the policies are and things like that. So we are under a structure at the city, and it's city manager ran, and it's the police chief and the city manager have got to work hand in hand on things as far as budget goes and stuff like that. I mean, the things they need. And I don't know that a city council, not since I've been on there anyway, we've voted that. We've never voted. There's never been nothing voted down that whether the police department needs it or whether the fire department or any other department down there needs it. We always try to get it. And so you've got to work hand in hand. And if you're not, I don't see how it works. And I don't think that was going on previously. So.
Well, I've become a daily correspondent with them because I've been trying to get this accident report from this accident. I think it was on May 31, that Saturday accident out on the Green Bridge.
Have we ever got that yet?
Let me see. Today's Friday. I talked to them Wednesday, and they didn't have it. And, in fact, they had the detective that's working it call me and basically tell me they're not going to tell me anything, that it's an ongoing investigation, and it could take 6 months or a year. It might take what it takes. I guess I was getting on their nerves calling. But, I'm going to keep calling. I'll call Janet. And
I know what you want. It can take 6 months to a year maybe to get the results back of a blood test.
Yes.
But
okay.
They've not made the accident report available yet as for who was involved in it or anything like that.
Not to my knowledge. I'll call Janet. I asked last time I talked to Janet. I asked her if she would just call me or fax me or whatever when it got here, and she said she would. And I mean, she's always done that for us, for Jim or me. If there's something we want, she'll let us know it's there and we can go down and get it. So she hadn't notified me. I will reach out again. Why? Did you hear that it was available?
No, I've not heard that.
Okay.
I mean, I won't say this because I know you said you weren't going to say it until it came out. I know who and I have to say supposedly because I'm not 100%. I will have to read it just like maybe you will.
Yeah.
I've been told who was involved in the accident.
Yes.
And heard who was involved from other parties, but I don't know 100% sure that person's actually was involved in that accident.
Well, I asked specifically using the names, and they said, Ron, we can't say anything till the report comes out, and they're doing an investigation. So I said, well, I don't. I'm not going to say it till you guys tell me I can. And they said, well, we can't right now. So that's where we're at.
Well,
there's been
told I can't say it. I just don't know. I'm just not if I'm going to call and give you some information. I mean, I have called and gave you some information.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not, I want to be for sure on my end when I'm telling you something that's right, because I don't want you to tell a lie that you believe me wholeheartedly was telling you the truth, because I wouldn't do that.
No, I know.
So, but I've been told who was in the accident.
Well, I have too. I have too, and I've been told from.
It's an interesting story what I've heard.
It's a tremendously interesting story, and it's definitely newsworthy. And we'll get it on there, but we will get it through the proper means and appropriately. I just. I didn't realize, I asked him, I said, is this normal that it takes this long? And he said, stuff like this, yeah, it can take a little while, so.
Yeah, getting the blood, the blood alcohol stuff might be, you could say you're supposed to get it back in 6 or 8 weeks, and that's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to be longer than that, but I don't know how, not unless there's something going on that I don't realize.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's holding the report not being out yet. That's the only thing. Not unless there's one more something else they're waiting on that I'm not aware of, and I'm not aware of everything they're doing because I've not talked to them, so I don't really know. But there has to be something else that's pending that's holding it up where they release it, and they're waiting to get that before they make it a final thing out for the public to see.
Well, I know it can take a while. I had a cousin, and she had a car accident in Kentucky, right? She's got little boys. They were in the car with her, and She had a car accident, and it was a pretty bad car accident. They took her to the hospital, and the arresting officer said that he smelled alcohol. So they did the blood test and all that. They took her kids and everything, and it took 12 weeks for that blood test to come back. She had 0 alcohol in her system. And then she had to go through by that time her boys were in the system. She had to go through and fight like the dickens to get, you know what I mean, to get her kids back after that. But it took 12 weeks from the day of that wreck, a little better, for them to get that blood test back and clear her of the charges. Those charges, they charged her with, DUI, DWI, whatever it was, and took like 12 weeks to get it back before they could clear her. And then she had to go through the system to get her boys back. It was a terrible thing. So I know it can for real take a long time. So it
sure can. It can take a while, and don't ask me why, but it does. That's the TBI. TBI does that lab work, and that's where everybody complains about going to court on DUI, and you have to go to court so many times, and the judge gets all mad. Well, it's not the officer's fault. It's TBI. TBI is the one that's holding the backlog up on the report. So that's where that comes from. It's not necessarily Clinton Police Department holding it up. It's the TBI holding it up, because that's where the report comes from.
Well, it's it'll be interesting when we get it. I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, well, hey, I've been in. We talked about the last time I was on your show, sitting in the studio there. We talked about Coach Keith.
Yes, sir.
And let me make a couple comments about that.
Please.
So I asked. I've got a good friend that is really good friends with Coach Keith, and Coach Keith was concerned the last time after I made some comments about him that he was concerned for me, that there would be some retribution done to me, that I would have pressure put on me to shut up and not talk and not say good things about Coach Keith, and not ask where I asked if he didn't do anything, he's not guilty, let's get his teaching certificate back. And he felt concerned. I think he felt concerned for my safety, that there would be undue pressure put on me. And my friend reassured Coach Keith that there'd be no pressure put on me, because I wouldn't stand for it.
I was getting ready to say.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. And that's what I felt. That's what I said. If I told a lie the last time I was on there, I didn't mean to tell a lie. I told exactly what. Most of the stuff is what I've heard. So I have been in negotiations a little bit with Coach Keith, but Coach Keith does have an attorney, and I understand what's going on right now, and I'm still holding out that, maybe we'll make 2 or 3 rounds of Queener's Corner or whatever we'll call it. I call it one thing, you call it one thing, and somebody else, my wife calls it Queener's go run his big mouth. That's what she says. So
I love it.
So we can call it whatever. But maybe I can hang on long enough and get renewed for another time to come. So,
well, good. I hope he comes.
I wanted Coach Keith, first of all, I appreciate his concern for me, but I said what I said because that's what I believe.
Yeah.
And I really don't think that if what I was told Coach Keith done was proved he didn't do. So that's the reason they terminate him. We ought to get things back. So I appreciate you having concern for me and worried about my safety. But I assure you, there has been no undue pressure from anybody, not a soul, put on me about what the comments I made last time.
Well, I think your comments.
As a matter of fact, I tell you what. As a matter of fact, I made those same comments today, and good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. Monday about 10 something. I'll make those comments again, but I'm not falling to no undue pressure. That's how I feel, and until somebody proves me otherwise, and I think you said the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody can prove us otherwise or something else going on,
yes,
then I'm going to continue on. This is a story that David's telling, and until somebody proves me different, that there's a different story, I'm not changing my tune now.
Well, Dr. Parrott, I think he just owes an explanation. And it's like me and you both said, if you made a mistake, you made a mistake. Just own it and everybody can move on. But if not, I mean, it's you can't fire a man for playing an ineligible player, and then Robbie goes in and proves they didn't play an ineligible player. You just can't do that. And if he was part of the grade changing thing, and that's why they did it, I don't know why they removed him from that prosecution, or whatever. They made it very clear to me that he was fired because he played an ineligible player, not because of the grade changing scandal. Well, now we find that didn't happen. So we'll find out.
I agree 100% with that. That's what I was told.
Yep.
That's exactly those exact words is what I was told.
Well,
so with that being said, and so with charges being placed on who the charges have been placed on, and I'm only assuming, I don't know, I don't have no inside source here that I'm calling and getting information from. I'm assuming there's going to be no further charges on anybody else. If it took a very long time for there to be charges, period.
Yep.
And I understand all that fully. So I'm just wondering is it after these two people that have been charged after these cases have been through the court system and they're done with and everything's done, and is that the end of the case? Is somebody going to step forward and say the Clinton High School grade changing scandal is closed now and we've officially closed it?
Well, look at it this way. All right, if they're going to say he played an eligible player, that's why I fired him. Okay, we all know that didn't happen, and that wasn't politically changed or anything else. Robbie did. He went in there as the new principal and looked into it and found the mistake, sent it to the TSSAA to review. Everybody agreed Coach Keith did not play in an eligible player. That was a mistake made by the current school board administration. All right, that got corrected. They said out loud that he didn't do that. Okay, if they fired him for being part of the grade changing scandal, and they don't arrest him, they don't do then he wasn't part of that either. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think they're. Oh,
I know. Yeah, I understand. I understand fully what you're saying.
So if he's
I've never heard that he was. I've never been told that he was a part of it. I've just heard on the front end. He was playing an ineligible player and it put a cloud over the program, and he's gone. Well, man, let me say this about Coach Keith. Coach Keith has continued. He stayed in Clinton. He lives in Clinton. He owns a house in Clinton. I mean, he resides here. He just wanted to go back to teaching. It's evident. I think he realizes he's not going back to Clinton to be the head coach.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd love to be able to do that, but I think he realizes that train's already went on down the tracks.
Yep.
He did get hired someplace else, and then they told him, well, we can't hire you because your teacher certificate's tied up right now. So, well, let's.
That's the other thing too.
If put information forward to clear his teaching certificate,
yep,
or not, and if there's reasons to hold it, and they're legit, I'll be the first one to agree with that and say, hey, his license are in question right now, and here's why. I'll shut up about that because that's it. But for the reasons that we're being told today, let's emphasize today,
mm-hmm,
they're not there.
I agree.
You just made the case.
Yeah.
They're not there. They proved that didn't happen.
And
it all got overturned.
Now, you and I have surmised whether or not there are going to be more arrests, and I thought maybe because Russell had 8 counts or 8 different things, that they turned over for what they recommended to go to the grand jury, that there might be 6 other people involved. And Russell's not told me. What I'm saying out loud is all I know, and that's the truth. I don't have any, but I've talked to a number of people that believe like you and say this is all that they're going to do. This is it. Whether or not there's, other people had to be involved.
I was told early on, and there was somebody not even connected to law enforcement. Didn't have anything to do with first of all, let me say, didn't have anything to do with DA. Didn't have anything to do with the sheriff's department. I've not talked to a soul at the sheriff's department to ask them a question. I've not talked to anybody at the DA's office. This is from another party that is just in the community and around there. that there probably wasn't going to be any charges, period. So I was shocked when there were charges that came down the pike and two people got charged. I'm shocked at who one of the two people are. I'm shocked that that person was charged and somebody else wasn't maybe charged instead of them. But that's beside the point. I've not seen the case file. I don't know nothing about the case. So I'll just say there's two people charged. So, I personally, it could be over, and I think eventually when it is, there'll be hopefully somebody say this is the end, and we can move on from it. But I just think Coach Keith, as of today, Coach Keith has been cleared of what he was accused of doing.
I agree.
And I just think we need to step forward and go ahead and get Coach Keith back on the track. If he wants to go back to teaching young people, and listen, Coach Keith needs to be in some schools somewhere.
Yeah.
He needs to be talking to young people. He's a good man.
I agree.
Whether or not he did anything else, he's still a good man. And if he did do it, he made a mistake. And that's what I said about if he played an ineligible player, he made a mistake. It's a legit mistake. But it wasn't a legit mistake. It was proven there was no mistake.
Yeah.
So Coach Keith is a good guy, and I'm proud to call Coach Keith a friend, and I'm glad he's still in the community, and he's somebody we need. And he's somebody, he's instead of teachers that are running away from the profession, because rightly so, he's trying to get it. He's trying to stay in it and still help. I think Coach Keith needs to be where he needs to be in it. That's helping young men and young women out in school and being a good person.
Fingers crossed. Well, one day we'll find out. We'll get to the bottom of it somewhere, somehow. They can't keep it hidden forever. We'll get to it sooner or later. Hopefully he'll come up with you sometime.
Yeah, well, I'm working on it, but I just wanted people to know he felt concerned that I'd have undue pressure put on me to, I guess, maybe get back on the radio and say what I said I didn't mean. I meant everything I said, and I meant everything I said today.
I know.
So I'm sure there's some people out here that didn't like it. That's all right, too. You say a lot of things. Sometimes I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about just in general. There's a lot of things a lot of people say that I don't like, but there's not a lot I can do about it. I just take it and go on. So, but anyway, but that's how I felt about Coach.
Oh, everybody likes what I say, Dave. I never make anybody mad.
Oh, I'm sure you don't. I was shocked that maybe I didn't get a phone, not necessarily a phone call, or just getting somebody to say something to me about it. It wouldn't have made no difference that if they had because once before when I did, I was told, hey, here's the reason. And because it blah, 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 and we've already talked about it. And that's the reason I was told. So that's what, I'm shocked I didn't, but it's still not changed how I feel about it, because I pretty much am going to say what I want to say on it and go on. And if you don't like what I said, you can call. And if somebody doesn't like what I said today, they can call and they can
say what they want to.
I've run mine for the last 15, 20 minutes, and they can dispute everything that I've said, and maybe they'll be able to prove what they're saying. And if they can't, they can't, and we'll rock on. And when I'm up there Monday, then I'll run my mouth again.
Jasper wants to ask you something. How about Jasper?
Hey,
Jasper.
Hey, I just saw my first Clinton High School football package yesterday, so it's officially football season for me. But I wanted to get your early prediction, what the Vols are going to do this year.
Vols? Okay.
Wow. Jasper, I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned about our quarterback situation.
Okay.
Okay. I'm really concerned about our quarterback situation. I don't know that we're in a good spot going into a campaign that we're so unknown about a quarterback, and there's not really been a lot said. I know we've had the transfer in, and I know very little about the transfer that's come in to the program. I know we have some very talented freshmen, but you don't have to be real smart to figure out it's hard for freshmen to play in SEC football right off the bat and do really good. So I'm going to say, could I change this prediction later on? Yes. I'm going to say 8-4, 9-3, somewhere like that. I don't think we're in contention. We're going to know real early on about Tennessee football. Maybe week 3, I think, Georgia. Is that right?
I think so.
I think it's week 3, week 4, somewhere right in there. Georgia's at the top of the heat this year.
Jasper thought it was week 2, so
it could be. And it is a home football game. There's some questions. There's other questions about our offensive line that they say they have addressed. So we'll see. I just don't see better than 8-4.
8-4.
9-3, I think, would really be a good season. But I think we have some big question marks at quarterback. And I'm going to be the first to say I don't know when we had Nico if we had a quarterback when we had him.
Well,
I wasn't too thrilled with what he was doing.
I wasn't too thrilled with what he was doing, but I'll tell you what, I was thrilled the way Coach Heupel handled it. I really was. I thought that was perfect. He didn't cater. He didn't fool with it. He didn't negotiate with it. He just said, "Up, boom, have at it, get gone. We'll get somebody else in here." And
college football, the landscape of college football has changed so much. If we're going to pay, and that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to pay these young men, and that's young women too that play sports, if we're going to pay them, I think we're going to almost have to do like they do in the NFL. We're going to have to get them under contract because, if we're giving you $2 million today, and you decide through the season you don't want $2 million no more, you want 2.5. If you don't pay me 2.5, I'm not going to play. I don't think that's right.
I agree.
So I think we're going to have to figure a way to knock some of that. And I agree with what you just said wholeheartedly about Coach not wanting. We didn't cave in, and just because somebody decided they wanted another $1 million or $2 more million to play. So I don't think that. I'm glad that Coach Heupel didn't cave in and give him another 2. I didn't think he was worth what he was getting anyway.
I saw somebody posted a video, and it said we should have paid Nico what he wanted, and it was a dozen plays where he overthrew somebody, fumbled the ball, and they were like, look how good he was. It was very sarcastic, tongue in cheek.
Yeah, and to hear some of the things, and sometimes you hear a lot of things about, and you don't know whether they're true or not. And when it really comes down to it, they were not true about the Ohio State game. People didn't want to play because they thought, they ought to be getting more money because they're playing in college football playoffs. Man, come on, these kids have got to understand that if you're at a university like this, your main goal at the end is to go to the SEC tournament or go to the SEC and play in the SEC championship game, and then go to the national, then to be in the playoffs. That's part of the deal.
Yeah,
that's part of the package to play at Tennessee coming up this year. Is for all those things to go to Georgia and play in the SEC championship game, and to go to the college football playoffs and play in the playoffs and go as far as you can. That's part of the package deal. That's part of the deal that you're on board with this year. You just can't say, well, I'm going to play 12 games, and at the end of 12 games, well, we were really good, but I'm not going to Georgia to play in it because I want another whatever.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's how it works. And if that's how it's going to work, college football is not going to be around long. But, man, there's some other big things. You talk about college football, we could do 4 hours of just talking about college football because SEC and some others, they're talking about going out on their own and not being affiliated with the NCAA and saying, hey, we're powerful enough that Greg Sankey right now is a powerful man.
Wow.
I think he's got a lot of juice right now. He's a powerful individual. He's got some juice right now. The SEC is pretty strong right now, and it's it's powerful.
Well, the SEC carries the other.
There's a lot of money. Don't let nobody kid you. There's a lot of money in college football right now.
Well, the SEC is far and away the largest and most, dominant conference in everything. And so we carry a lot of that. We carry a lot of water for the ACC and some of these lesser accomplished conferences. So, yeah, the SEC wields a big stick, I'm sure, in negotiating with this stuff and threatening to leave.
you take the SEC, and I don't know exactly what the conference is where Ohio State, Michigan. That's the next one that's in there too. They're talked about. It's us and them looking at just stepping out on our own and doing our own thing.
That's cool.
But if you look at where Nico left, the football, I always look at what, it's, you can play 1A football and you can play 6A football.
Yeah.
And the competition is different across the board. There are some really good 1A schools.
Yeah.
There's not as many of them as there is 6A schools.
Gotcha.
6A schools, there's going to be more 6A schools that are going to be better. And you take every classification that way. But look at the competition from going to SEC to where you went to UCLA. UCLA, they're not a powerhouse anymore.
No.
Not a powerhouse football team. You've not heard what you've heard about UCLA is coaching changes and stuff like that. And it's not powerful like it used to be with USC and all them out there. It's not the same. USC's not even in the same conference they're in anymore. They're playing up there with Ohio State and Michigan now.
Yep.
So, there's a lot of change in the landscape of college football. And, man, it's become – it's a powerful thing. So, to get back to Jasper's question, me not rambling on for it, I think Tennessee's 8-4, 9-3. I've heard a few of these people that know more than me, so don't jump on me. I'm just repeating. So I've heard a couple 7-5s. I don't think we're 7-5. I think it's 8-4, 9-3.
I'll take 9-3.
I'll take 4 games.
I'd take 8-4. I reckon. I could live with that.
David, that game against Georgia, September the 13th at 3:30 at Neyland Stadium.
That's going to be a barn burner.
Those ticket prices will be out the roof, I'm sure. But at that place, we'll be rocking.
Yeah, that's one I'd like to go to.
Tune in on that Friday before the game. Ron's going to have a four tickets he's going to give away.
Stop it.
No, he's already gave them to me.
No.
He's already gave them away.
Yeah.
So
yes. I was the first caller.
4 game day tickets on that day. But no, that'll be Tennessee's. That'll be Tennessee's first test. We'll know a lot. We will know a lot because there's a couple warm-up games, I think, before that game. We'll know a lot about Tennessee after we come out of that game with Georgia.
In the event that Tennessee was to upset, wishful thinking, what does that do for their season?
Oh, I think it does everything, Jasper. I think it could be the difference between If we're all going to say we're around 8-4 right now, I think it's the difference between 8-4, 10-2, 11-1 maybe. So then you look who else on the schedule. Then you start looking at who else on the schedule could beat Tennessee, in which there's always Alabama. You look for, you look for teams like Oklahoma, because Tennessee's got to play Oklahoma again. You look for teams like Oklahoma to improve this year and be a little better than what they were last year. So you look for that. And you've always got Vanderbilt down the road that really had a good year last year. Was that a one-hit wonder? Is Vandy going to be good again? So there's some teams there that could get that. You got Florida, another team that's a nemesis, and Tennessee, that they always have trouble with. So I think that's the difference in, 10-2, 11-1, something like that. I think that would make that big. I think that would make that big a difference. And I'm just sort of guessing at that right now. So that's what I think.
Yep. I'm on the same page with you. I'm looking at 9-3. I'm hoping
9-3, 8-4. I mean, that's a good year. I mean, I think everybody wants to, everybody wants to qualify for the college football playoffs, and there's going to be years we don't qualify. There's going to be years we qualify, and then you just got to get in and be playing pretty good football at the time. But man, all you got to do is see what money will get you. Look at Ohio State.
There you go. Look at Ohio State. That's it.
That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do is look at it and see what money will get you. And you can buy it if you got the money out here. So that's a big thing. Guys, I appreciate you, and I'll see y'all Monday.
Happy Father's Day, brother. Have a great weekend.
Hey, thank you, and happy Father's Day to you two guys too, and to all the other dads out here. I wish them happy Father's Day, and hope you get Hope you have a good day, and get you some fried chicken.
I love it. Thanks, Dave.
All right.
See you, buddy. Bye-bye. And Dave will be up here. I think we solved all the world's problems. I don't know what we'll do Monday.
Dave's all about the chickens, ain't he?
He's all about he's all about eating the chickens. I don't know about raising them. He's about eating them. 865-457-1380. If you guys would like to weigh in. Of course, you know, when I talk to David, we turn us loose. We could talk for 3 hours. But started everything off talking about this resolution at the Norris City Council about I'm paraphrasing, but not supporting ICE, not having the police department assist ICE in arresting illegals or what have you. Like I said, never thought I'd see that day here in East Tennessee, but here we are. And I also wanted to, I just want to acknowledge too, I want to thank, I sent out to a number of our officials, and all of them, almost all of them, have responded on simply just tell me what to think, giving me, you know, some of them have said, hey, I'm going to put together a statement on it. But I appreciate everybody responding. In fact, I think everybody has responded. So with that said, as soon as I start getting some of these responses from our elected officials, I will share them with you. At the time, I've got, like for instance, Chairman May says, hey, I'm in Nashville for work, but I'm working on a comment. I spoke with State Representative Scarborough earlier. You all right over there? What are you doing, Jasper? You dropped your phone? The head of the Anderson County Republican Party, I talked to Zach Farah. Same thing. He's in the middle of something right now, but he's going to get back to us with a statement. A lot of different folks. I reached out to Sammy Sawyer because Sammy's dad, James, was the Norris police chief, and Sammy said his father would be livid about what they were doing. But I appreciate those of you that have reached out and responded, and there's some that haven't yet, but as they do, yeah, I'll put that all together for you, and I might have all that ready by Monday. Maybe I'll have that accident report by Monday, and we'll be able to give you facts on that. I don't want to, being everything that I just want to be careful that when we do tell you about it, we tell you factually. That's one thing we've prided ourselves on here at the station, at least under my tenure over the last 35 years, is we just don't want to say something, hurt somebody or incorrect, and have to go back and double back and change it. We have made mistakes. I'm not saying we're perfect. We've made mistakes, but they've always been innocent mistakes. We haven't targeted anybody or anything like that. But so we're waiting on the official information, the official arrest report, before we get into the details, the gossip. I'm going to start to say gossipy details, the salacious details of that wreck. All right, I'm going to play a commercial or two, and then I'm going to come back here and we will say adios. Get ready for Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. To my dad, happy Father's Day, Dad. I love you very much. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. All right, I'm back in a flash. Give me 3 minutes. I'll come back and we'll take your calls, or I'll wrap up. Just let me know what you want me to do.
Friday, June 27th. Don't miss Montgomery Gentry featuring Eddie Montgomery at the Country Tonight Theater. Montgomery Gentry, Friday, June 27th. Get your tickets now while they're still available at EastTennesseeConcerts.com.
I know I'm a lucky man. God's given me a pretty fair hand. Lord, I'm learning so much more than back when I knew it all. Hell yeah, turn it up, right on. Where I come from,
Montgomery Gentry, Friday, June 27th at Country Tonight Theater. Get your tickets now at EastTennesseeConcerts.com. EastTennesseeConcerts.com.
As a homeowner, I'm always looking for peace of mind, especially when I have a costly, unplanned expense, like a cooling system repair or replacement. That's when I turn to the eScore Quality Contractor Network. They're the pros who've been specially trained and approved by TVA and your local power company. The quality contractors are licensed and insured, so you can be assured the job will be done right and inspected for free. Contact your local power company or visit energyright.com to learn more.
Hi, this is Jim Miller with WYSH Local Information News. Remember, if you see news happen, email me, jim@wyshladio.com, or message us on the WYSH Facebook page. Each day, we bring you the latest in local news. Mike Witcher has your weather forecast, and Pete Michaels is in the sky with the traffic. So we've got you covered, and if you see news happen, let us know. Your source for local information news since 1960, WYSH.
This is Michael Webb with Grayson Hyundai Subaru and Genesis of West Knoxville. We know you have many options when it comes to buying your next vehicle, but if keeping your money in the community is important to you, then Grayson is the dealer for you. We're not owned by a giant dealer group traded on Wall Street. Our dealership is family owned and has been serving the Knoxville community for nearly 40 years. We value family, and we offer vehicles for every budget that a family requires. Our line of new Hyundais, Subarus, and our luxury Genesis vehicles, plus over 400 quality used cars, we have something for everyone. Our town's growing, and we're excited to grow with it. So the next time your family needs a new or quality used vehicle, we invite you to come on down and support your local dealer, Grayson Hyundai Subaru and Genesis of West Knoxville. We're on Kingston Pike between Cedar Bluff and Walker Springs, or you can visit us online at GraysonAuto.com. Thank you, and God bless you from our family to yours.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap things up here. Those of you that tune in, listen in, you know I appreciate it greatly. We can't do this without you. And we'll try and find fun stuff to talk about. Monday should be a good show. I look forward to getting David up here. Find out what we're going to do on Queener's Corner. I should start calling him Democrat Dave. No, I won't do that. Have a good one. Have a happy Father's Day. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here bright-eyed in Bushville Monday morning.
Thank you for listening to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Make sure you tune in at 10 a.m. each day, Monday through Friday, right here on AM 1380 WYSH and BBB TV 12, or listen live online at WYSHradio.com and